Hey fruit faces, it is Klaireeberry. I'm here today to talk with you guys about breathing. You guys ever notice whenever you see somebody else like take a deep breath like that you also want to take a deep breath? It's like contagious. It's like a yawn, which is interesting because yawning is like actually contagious. And there's a lot of questions about yawning. People don't exactly know, why we do it. Some people think it's literally to get more oxygen, and I might have to agree with that. But it's interesting how it's contagious. It's just like really weird. Any theories on that? Let me know. But one person in my life who I'm very knowledgeable about a lot of things, including health and spirituality and kind of these out there metaphysical things, actually, and I forget where they said they got this information, but they were really big for a while, read a book about yawning and how it's really, really good for you and that you should actually make yourself yawn. I'm wanting to yawn right now. And if you ever try it to like make yourself yawn, I can do it. Like, it works. And obviously if you sit there and watch somebody yawn, then you're gonna yawn, and then you can like keep yawning if you want to. I don't know, I just think it's really interesting. But anyway, back to breathing. Breathing, I feel like, so fundamental. It's something we do every day without even thinking about it, but we can think about it, and we know that, like, taking a deep breath is good for you. Can't take a deep breath, count to 10. Take 10 deep breaths and you'll be able to not be so angry. You'll be able to get control of the situation. If you have a child who is freaking out for whatever reason, they just fell down, they got hurt. You know how kids, whenever they fall down, you're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Oh my gosh. If you freak out, they're gonna freak out. But if you train them at a very young age, oh, you're okay, are you okay? Yeah, you're okay. Oh, and you're so, you're so tough, or whatever, I find that, getting in their head and letting them know that, but also saying, if they are already upset, take a deep breath, it's okay, you're just scared. Taking a deep breath is one of the fastest ways to calm down. And so that's why it's also so good for meditation. It's very, very important. Like, basically focusing on your breath is meditation. I mean, that's really all it is. And there's so many different ways you can do that. You see a lot of people trying to get through anxiety attacks, doing different counting breaths, like breathe in for 4, out for 5, or I don't know what honestly what the number is, but it can help with all of that stuff. It is just so important. And if we don't breathe well, a lot of people don't know this, but if you don't breathe well, it's actually, it's bad for you. Like, you can be a really shallow breather, and it just doesn't help. It doesn't help like your whole functions. Like, if you are in the habit of taking deep breath, you're going to have more oxygen in your body. Your body's going to be used to it, and it's going to do it by itself more frequently. And so a lot of people think that, taking a deep breath is like, okay, fill up your chest. That's actually not a deep breath. I just want to show you guys this if you don't already know. And a lot of this information will come from like Chinese medical practitioners, yoga people, stuff like that. It's all interrelated in all of these practices, these spiritual, physical practices. And it's just so important. But we don't breathe just down into our lungs. Okay, when we breathe, you want to do at least an abdominal breath, to where in the deep parts of your abdomen, you are breathing all the way down there. And I don't even think you should stop there. Honestly, I've read different things about breathing all the way to your toes. Visualize it. When you take a deep breath, do that. You can feel it, and it's almost like you're willing, mentally, like the oxygen to go through all of your body. And that is how we should breathe. And we need to remember this throughout our day. When you start to feel stressed, if you start to feel tired, take a few moments, even a few deep breaths it can really reset your day and help you. And I think this is part of the reason sometimes why sleep is so important. And a lot of things are happening in sleep. Again, we don't know, we don't know that much. We know a lot, but we don't know overall, like, what is the deal with all of this stuff. But our breathing evens out, and it kind of is natural. And I think as far as my meditation, I actually like to not really force the breaths and count them, but just kind of allow myself to breathe in a natural way, but a very deep way as well. A lot of people say in through the nose, out through the mouth, however you want to do it. But it's just, I just want to remind you guys. I know you already know, that, I know you already know. That's also laughter, you guys. Laughter is a breathing process. Humor is like the best thing in the world, right? But laughter is very, very healing. I've heard about laughter therapy, combating cancer. And part of the reason is because you're laughing. So when you look at, like I was talking about Qigong, when you look at yoga, these practices are so important and so healing because they incorporate breathing into the processes. I don't know if you guys have ever taken like a Qigong class, or I took Bagua Sheng, which is a sister to Qigong. And I mean, when you come out of these practices, I'm actually getting chills right now just thinking about it and just remembering. It is better than being high. It is a natural high that is so pure and so divine. I highly recommend practices like this for your whole body health as well, but also because of this breathing aspect. And it can help you, again, to kind of train yourself to be a deep breather, to allow, your abdomen to get used to this. So for meditation, for exercise, and also, breathing is so important during any kind of exercise, really. You have to breathe right. If you're lifting weights, obviously if you're an endurance athlete, you need to learn how to breathe right. It's just so, so very important. Talked about calming down. I want to talk about childbirth for a moment. Obviously, we've all seen, the movies and heard about Lamaze or whatever, where they're doing the which, by the way, is exactly the opposite of what you want to do when you're giving birth. The real way to breathe when you're giving birth is, again, as I said, breathe down to your abdomen. Breathe down to your toes. Okay, and let me just tell you, I've had 2 kids naturally, no drugs, and I can tell you that and I had a lot of, I did a lot of preparation, I did a lot of reading, I had a lot of meditation ideas and visualizations and mantras and different techniques that I had read about. I had the tub, I had the ball, I had massage, I had all sorts of things, right? And I even had people who were with me had acupressure points and different things like this. All of that stuff was nothing compared to breathing. Okay, the second thing was probably human touch on the back in the right spot, just human touch. But absolutely by far, during those contractions, breathing is the only thing that helped. Okay, and it's just so important because especially in crazy situations like that, if you're experiencing a lot of pain, or if, let's say, you're very angry, or if let's say you had an accident and you are freaking out, or even you're helping somebody else who had an accident, there's blood everywhere. I've had a situation like this. Anytime you get stressed out, you take these big sighs, and that is our body's way of hey, breathe deep right now, you need oxygen. We tend to not think about breathing, but we need to, because if we can't breathe right, if we hold our breath, if we're tense, if we're experiencing extreme stress, that's how you go into shock. People die from shock in situations like that, and that's the number one thing you can do to not let that happen. And also people, probably the number one, if you're having a mistake, or people get pissed off and they end up in jail, they do something crazy, is because they were so upset they didn't take the time to breathe. I've heard, and I actually agree with this, if you take 10 deep breaths, you literally won't be mad anymore. It's impossible to be mad. I'm sure that's an exaggeration to say it's impossible to be mad, because, there's a lot of reasons to be mad out here on this earth, but you definitely, after 10 real deep breaths, you won't be mad. And we all know a lot of the healing process of a lot of things is just getting outside of ourselves. So even the simple idea and practice of focusing on your breath takes us to these still waters. It takes us to another place. It takes us out of our problem and into a meditation of breathing. That's all it is. And it's really, really deep, one of the first things in the Bible talks about is God, breathed life into. Doesn't it say that? I don't know if it does say that. This is just the idea. Another thing that breathing I think is really important with is if you're trying to get through a craving, or like let's say you're addicted to things and you really are trying not to do them anymore, taking deep breaths, it can really, really help with that. People are so tied up with this idea of, I feel like we just don't take the time to think anymore. We are so reactive. We're just going from one reaction to another. And then in the meantime, we're just watching TV or getting on social media. And we don't actually let ourselves feel. We don't actually let ourselves think. If you're having a painful experience, if you're going through trauma, you're having an anxiety attack, you're having a craving for an addiction, just breathe through it. Just breathe through it. When you stop all the input, when you breathe through it, even if you have this craving, a lot of times they don't last. They don't last. There's something that's causing that. A lot of times just not being grounded, and one of the easiest ways to ground yourself is to breathe. It can help us in so many ways. Those cravings will go away. Those cravings go away in seconds, if not minutes, scientifically shown. And so again, this can help in so many ways. It can help with our eating, with our nutrition, with our lifestyles, with our addictions, with our pain, with everything. So I just wanted to, again, just kind of remind you guys, I know, again, you already know that breathing is important. You already know that you can count to 10 and breathe, but it's just so powerful. I feel like it's the answer to everything. Breath is life. If we don't breathe, we die. So it's like, I feel like it's one of those things. It's like the ultimate paradox. It's the ultimate duality, which if you guys know me, I talk about duality a lot. I like duality. I have a very Taoist spiritual mindset. And it's funny because breath is like that. It kind of shows us. I think anything in nature shows us a lot. And if you sit there and focus even on a rock, you can meditate on it and learn things. And that's the way this world is. But with breathing, again, you have on one hand, you can do it on purpose. You can focus it. You can harness it. You can use it for all of these things. But on the other hand, it's this involuntary process that we will do anyway. And it's just like, again, if you actually just ponder the breath, it's so deep. Like, it's mind-bogglingly deep to think about the duality. And it's also, like I said, without breath, we are dead. And it's also like, can we even talk? We can't talk without breath. We can't communicate. We can't love, like, we can't do anything. And so take some time. Again, you don't need to sit in a dark room and meditate in the classic way that everybody thinks. We can meditate in our cars. If you notice in your car, if you get road rage, just pay attention to your breathing. You can have actually apps or music that can help you. The whole idea behind these specialized hertz, these frequencies, because they put our bodies in a wavelength or a trance almost, to where our breathing naturally balances out. Similar to, guys, another thing I want to throw out here since we're talking about breath is, I think one of the reasons why, like in China and in different areas, they have most other countries around the world have less SIDS than in America. And why is this? Because in America, we put our babies in another room. Babies are not regulated. Their central nervous system is not fully functionally regulated as ours is. Obviously, this is why they're having SIDS, but the key is that they say, the theory is that whenever an infant is next to their parents, or even in the same room nearby to their parents, that their parents' breathing actually helps the infant to regulate their breath. And so if it happens to stop for a second or whatever, then it'll kind of catch back on track, and they have less SIDS apparently for this reason. Sure, there's other factors, but I definitely strongly believe that that might be one of them. So obviously, you know, we can get ourselves into a deep breathing kind of hypnotization or pattern or something without even really having to sit there and focus on it. But so while we're driving, or when, like I said, when you're upset, when you're at work and you start to feel tired, or like I said, if you're just stressing out, it doesn't take a full 30 minutes. It doesn't even take 10 minutes. You can fully change your attitude, your physiology, like what's going on with your breath. You can do it very, very quickly, and it's just highly recommended. So play around with it. Again, you can look up different, you know, breathe in, or sometimes people will actually hold their breath for a minute, which is interesting. Oh, another thing that I want to add here at the end, breathing is definitely also tied into weight loss, okay? We know that all exercise deals with our breath. You know, it helps us get nutrients, it helps us get oxygen to where it needs to go, helps us with a lot of stuff. But also they're showing that the number one way we actually physically lose weight is to breathe it out. You know, you would think that we pee it out, you would think that we poop it out, sweat it out, and we do to a certain extent, but I believe it's 80% is actually expires through our breath. Fat is lost through breathing. Did you know that? Did you know that? Do you believe it? Let me know. Look it up. I swear I read this. If you're taking a test, be sure and breathe. If you're doing anything important, going into a job interview, you know, take some time to calm yourself down with your breath. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Again, it's so simple, but yet it's so freaking profound. And it's funny because all of us are doing it wrong, but we think we know how to, we think we don't have to think about it. We think we know, you know, what breathing is, and we do, but we still don't do it right. Very helpful, very spiritual, can take us to the next level in so many ways, help us be better human beings through the breath. And also, you know, think about this. The one way, the one of our senses, the only one of our five senses, I know we have six, whatever. The only way, the only thing that actually gets molecules to our brain is through the breath. When we taste something, it doesn't go straight to the brain. When we hear something, it does not go straight to the brain. When we touch something, yeah, you got neurons that are firing, but it's not actually the thing we're experiencing going straight to our brains. So when you're inhaling things, hopefully you're inhaling, you know, essential oils straight to the brain. It's powerful. It's very, very powerful. Don't take it lightly. I love essential oils. Pretty much for this reason. One of my favorite ways is a spray, is to make a spray. I also have this lovely spray right here. Although I think it's probably cheaper. I don't know. This, you know, add your own water. You know, just buy the dilutions and then add it. Make sure you get a good quality, I would say. It's got a little coconut oil in there and stuff too. I wouldn't like spray it right up my nose, but I definitely have one of these at work. I also have a peppermint one. So if you want to calm down, you use a good lavender. You know, be careful not to get in your eyes, especially peppermint. I think this one doesn't bother me. I don't feel like I'm getting it again into my eyes, but just be careful. And yeah, I just love it. I just think it's so important. That's why I had to talk to you guys about it. So hopefully this helps you in your lives to be the very best that you can be and live your best life. So take care. Don't forget to eat your fruit, and I'll talk to you guys later.